please. And if I'm live right now, please forgive me, but I'm looking at my Facebook and I don't see me. So please forgive me if I'm being technically stupid here, but
Nope, I don't see you.
I don't see us. But I do see me now. So, Jane, we are live right now. So,
okay,
let's do this. Take 2. Okay, you ready for take 2, Jane?
take 2. I'm looking to
All
see if
right,
I see you live.
It's 5:03. Nobody's tagged in this one. We'll fix all that later. So, all right. So we did this once, and technical issues. I didn't do it again. So Jane was in the middle of telling us the whole thing. So let me start over again. Thanks for joining us. John Teixeira, live at 5 with Jane Jones at American National Bank of Texas. And she is anxious to tell us and share with us about the PPP program. So if y'all remember at the beginning of COVID, we had Jane on to explain the payroll protection program for us. It was some assistance that the government had provided for businesses to keep things going, to keep people working and keep their paychecks going, right, Jane?
Yep.
And so now we've got 2 parts we're dealing with. We've got a new PPP program, and we're still dealing with the old PPP program. And Jane has been my expert. She has been what I've been leaning on her to help us through this whole process. And so I'm going to let Jane share with us. She is a wealth of knowledge. I'm going to let her share about the first part. Jane, let's start there with the first payroll protection program, and then we'll get into what they're doing now.
Excellent. So PPP round 1, we're now in the forgiveness stage. So we've been advising our borrowers that borrowed $150,000 or less to hold off on asking for forgiveness, because our hope was the new bill was going to revise the application and simplify it, and that's happened. So what we understand is really going to almost be as easy as just an affidavit. Yes, I used the money, submit and go. So SBA has 24 days to prepare that document and get it to the bank so that we can then forward it out to our clients and let you guys start asking for forgiveness. So that should make the process a lot easier and a lot faster.
So before you move on to the next thing, so because I fall into that category, right? You helped us early on with our payroll protection program, and I know initially we thought it was going to be like 4 weeks, and then it was 8 weeks. It was quickly 8 weeks, and then it just kept getting put off. So now I feel like you have got a good understanding of what we're looking at now. When are we going to see this application?
We should see that application by the mid to end of February.
Okay,
probably mid of
awesome.
February, because they had 24 days from the day the bill was passed.
Can we all hold you to that if it doesn't happen?
SBA has a right to change their mind. So whatever, you can hold me to whatever. So, but we're excited because that means that the banks don't have to spend all the time validating all that information, which is going to let us be able to put our focus towards PPP round 2. If you did get over 150,000, still a lot of documentation, but we've processed a handful of those. We've gone through the documentation. We've submitted it to SBA. SBA has turned around and funded the banks the money, and we've turned around and paid off those loans. So it's working.
Good.
Originally, if you took the EIDL money, that $10,000 grant, the way that the bill read was that was not forgiven. So let's say you got a $30,000 PPP loan and a $10,000 EIDL loan, you were only forgiven $20,000. That rule was removed. So now they are separate. They are forgivable separate. And so some of those loans that have been forgiven that had the grant not forgiven, does that make sense? They're going to come back and we'll have to reapply to get that money back. So another reason we've been advising people, hold off, don't apply. These changes will benefit you.
Okay, so I got a question for you before you move on. The EID loan, though, however, that's not forgivable, correct?
It's a grant. So the first $10,000 is a grant. There's also a loan. So if you got the loan, it's a 1% note, 1% rate for 30 years. That is still a loan. But the $10,000 grant is what I'm referring to.
Got it. Okay. All right.
Let's see. They did also remove the clause that PPP money was taxable. So that is good news. And they are setting aside $30 billion in new funds for people who have not applied for PPP the first time. So if you did not take advantage of round one, it's going to be reopened. Hopefully, we're thinking next Wednesday, and you can reapply, and that money is set aside separate from round two. Okay, and if you remember, round one never really ran out of money. So we're hopeful that some people will take advantage of that money that did not take care of that money. Okay, round two. So it sounds a lot like round one, but in order to qualify this time, your business has to show that they had a 25% reduction in gross revenue in any one quarter. So not for the full year. So if when COVID first hit, that quarter you were harmed, you just need to show the bank that 2020 income statement for that quarter shows a 25% reduction from 2019 same quarter. Okay.
And I imagine it doesn't matter which quarter.
Does not matter which quarter.
Got it.
So if you're planning on applying for round two, get your CPA to prepare. If you don't already have quarterly financials for each year, I do believe you have to supply all 4 quarters so they can, look at the whole picture. But that's the caveat to qualify. They've reduced the businesses. So you remember round one, it seemed like some of the big businesses gobbled up a lot of the money fast. This time, no business can ask for more than 2 million. And also, if they have more than 300 employees, they cannot apply. So SBA is really, focusing on the smaller businesses.
Small business, yep.
Some businesses, in hindsight, looking at the $150,000 forgiveness, are thinking, gosh, if I qualify for 160, would it be smart for me to take 150 and not do the paperwork? I don't know. That's your call, but think about that, right? What's it worth to you for that? Because it's probably going to look the same. If you're in the accommodations industry, and there's certain NICS codes that will tell you that you're in accommodations, they're allowing those industries to ask for 3.5 times their monthly payroll versus 2.5. So there's a little bit more money going to be given to those industries.
Does that include restaurants?
Probably. There's certain NICS codes out there, so I don't have a list of them in front of me, but you can go to sba.gov and look at those NICS codes that are going to qualify you for the extra salaries.
Not going to help our Texas restaurants too well, is it?
Correct. Good. It might. The other change is, you mentioned it. At first, you had 8 weeks to use the money, and they changed it. This time, you're going to have 8 weeks to 24 weeks. So you have a window, and you choose. Once you've used up the funds, you apply for it. You cannot apply for round two unless you applied for round one and you've utilized the funds. Right. So you got to make sure that those funds were utilized and you're ready for round two. Some other mentionables from the bill: the employee retention tax credit. That is being expanded. So look into that. Reading real quick. EIDL money's reopening. So that those idle monies closed December 31st. They're going to reopen that as well. The grant that we spoke about, as well as the EIDL loan. So that's going to reopen and have $20 billion more there. And there's some extra special things. We talked about it. If you're a live venue, like a theater, movie venue, they've got some extra money, as well as people that need to pay their rent for their houses. There's extra money for that in the bill as well.
All right, so there's where I'm an expert, right? So we've been throughout this, I don't know if you know, Jane, throughout this entire pandemic, they've been coming up with new rental assistance programs like crazy, and we've been throwing those out to our tenants that are having trouble. We're staying on top of those programs and presenting those to our tenants, and I feel like it's been a blessing for them because people are just so overwhelmed. It's hard to know all this stuff that's going on, right? If you're not watching the news, or you don't hit the right story or whatever, and you're not watching this and getting great PPP information from Jane Jones, then you just don't know, right? And so we've just, as property managers, and I hope other agents and property managers are doing this with their tenants. If I've got tenants that are having trouble, I'm throwing them every link to every program that I can that's out there, because the government they're just throwing money at the problem like crazy, aren't they? Do you feel like, Jane, that they're doing it smarter with round two?
Yeah, I do feel like I think it's going to be a much calmer process. We had a lot of chaos. The morning that the original PPP rolled out, if you'll recall, at 3 a.m., the banks got 12 pages of changes. So we were all ramped up, ready to take applications, so we get 12 pages of changes. So we feel like the structure, the skeleton's already there. We're not going to have that mania happening that morning. I know our bank has created a portal. Now, SBA has changed. We used to go to E-Tran to submit. They've changed the process, so that's going to be a little bit different. It's not going to be instantaneous like it was round one. But people who had a bad experience with their bank and are scared to go through it again, I encourage you to still try or reach out to me. We took care of our customers first, and then I started expanding to non-customers. I feel like this time we're going to be in a position where we can help more customers that don't bank with us go through that process and help them closer. Yeah, I would just encourage them to take advantage of it. It's there and it's easier, and we're not going to have the money gobbled up as quickly, so it's not going to be such a mania situation.
I love it. You guys, as you're watching this, you're probably not going to catch this live. I'm going to push this out, Jane, so people will get this after they get home, and our audience will see it a little bit later. But present some questions. Jane, I'm going to tag you on this. I know that Jane would love to pipe in and maybe answer some of these questions. Jane, are you able to do that? You able to pay attention to our comment thread a little bit and see if anybody's got any questions? So feel free, even if you guys aren't live, you don't want to do it right now. Jane's ready and willing to answer questions, but just put a question in that comment for Jane if you have any questions about any of these programs. She seems very knowledgeable about all of them. Jane, I know that you don't just do PPP program. Tell me about what you do with the bank.
So I'm a commercial lender, which means I lend to commercial businesses, whether it's real estate. I am an SBA lender, so I can go 7A, 504, conventional. We do, lines of credit, equipment, anything that small businesses to mid-cap businesses need. I bank companies all the way up to 60 million in revenue. So it doesn't really get too big for us, but we partner with them. And what's unique about what A and B does, we're a family-owned bank and we treat our customers like family. So I become a partner with my business owners. I understand their business. I understand their needs. Sometimes I call them and go, hey, I just came up with an idea for this problem, or hey, here's a copier person that can help you with this, your services or whatever it is. We are trusted advisors and partners with our business owners to help them grow bigger, better, stronger companies. And so outside of PPP, that's what I'm doing.
I love that. And I personally know that to be true. You've connected me with some great people that I've done business with, and we've done some networking, and I really appreciate that, as well as this great little place that we're kind of proud of down here on Main Street. You guys,
love your building.
Yeah, you guys did this for us too. So, and hopefully you'll be doing that one next door to us too. How's that sound, Jane?
I like it. Yep, and I'm writing down my email. I'm going to put it up here just because it gets kind of, can you see that?
Yeah, that's good. I can see it.
Backwards?
I hope everyone else can. Nope, it's perfect.
Okay.
Jane Jones at anbtx.com.
Yep.
So that's
you guys y'all can email me if you have questions, if you want me to, help you, go through the PPP process, or you're just looking for a different bank or a banker, you just haven't had that touch. I hear people say, well, I don't have a banker. I just call the branch, and no, you need to have an officer assigned to you and watching out for you and guiding you and helping you build that business.
Not to mention, you guys, it's not to sit here and tell, you guys have been great. Like when I moved you guys a couple years ago, or maybe not quite a couple years ago, and who you bank with is extremely important as a business. I personally think it's important no matter who you are, whether you're a business or not. But if you're a bank, if you're a business, sorry, you really need a partner. And one of the best partners you can get is your banker. You've got money coming in, money coming out. You may have short-term needs, long-term needs, and a good banker like you guys, Jane, you're just a great partner, and I really appreciate you. I appreciate your staff. You've got a great staff over there. When I do have to go into the bank, which is pretty rare nowadays, I think there's going to be a time when you don't even have brick and mortar banks
I
anymore.
know.
But when I do go in there, they're so sweet, so helpful. Everybody's ready to go. They all know your name, and I love that. And I don't feel like I'm the only one. I think that they know all their customers the way they know me. Um, so kudos to you guys. Two more things, Jane. Do you mind? I want to talk a little bit about your hair. And I want everybody to give Jane some props for being bold enough to cut it all off. She had a hair accident happen, and she just went, you know what, we're just going to cut it off and start over because I know I can do it. Good for you, Jane.
You
I
know, it's
love it.
just hair.
It's just hair. You look great, and you know it.
Yeah, but it wasn't on purpose. Everybody needs to know it was a correction of a mishap, as you said. So I didn't on purpose cut it all off, but we're gonna rock it until it grows back.
It looks great. You're gonna do great. Jane, what do you want to leave us with? It's 5:19. Do you want to leave us and close us out with anything else you want to share with us? PPP
Man, yeah,
or
I just
anything
want to
else?
say, man, this is a hard time for business owners, and we recognize that. Um, take advantage of what the government's offering. And if you have questions or you're not sure how to navigate, reach out. Let us help you do that, and let's help you, have a good 2021. And this money can help you just push it that much further.
Yeah, I'd almost sometimes, Jane. I mean, sometimes I almost wish the government would just put more money into this kind of program where they're keeping people working, right?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of handing them checks, right? All that money that they spent. I mean, I know there's some people that really needed that money, and so I get that and I appreciate that. But then there's a lot of people that got them that didn't need the money, right? And so if we can get really smart programs that are helping employers keep people employed through this whole COVID, especially restaurants and bar owners and theater owners, I mean, they're the most affected here. It's just, I hope the government continues to do really smart things like this. And, with all the chaos in the world right now, I hope that we just regain some common sense. We keep loving on each other, we support each other, and provide hope. And I think that's what you've done today, Jane. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. And I just, again, have confidence. Don't panic. I don't think this is going to be like last time that if you don't get your money in 2 days, you're going to miss out. It's been thought through a little bit better than that. So take your time, go through the process, but don't miss the opportunity for sure.
I love it, Jane. Thanks for coming on with me
Thanks
again.
for having me.
Appreciate it, and let's do it again. I guess we'll do it when something else pops up or you have something else to present to us. How's that sound?
Sounds great. Y'all have a great evening.
All right, talk soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.